So Wave 2, I believe this is purely under what I suspect. I've got obviously no evidence to back this up. I believe the Transatlantis Games, obviously, the actual administration of doing Wave 2 was more, the business side of things were down to them. Because one of the things that feedback I got for Wave 2 was, why no progressive tiers?
For the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
because I will say I was a little disappointed about that. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to getting hold of the glazes, and I would have liked maybe just a glaze. Yeah, just a set of glazes. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to back the Kickstarter at the highest tier, but that being the only one available, I was like, I can wait, but I'd rather not.
This is all because of lessons learned from Wave 1. So, of course, Wave 1 ended up being delivered much later than we wanted it to be. And there's a whole enormous story for this. And I remember Bob sent out an email as part of the backing as to what was going on. But basically, as soon as the Kickstarter rendered, the circumstances of the manufacture changed. In fact, like the day before, a whole load of things changed. And this goes down to the actual creation of it, sourcing materials for it, sourcing ingredients for it. And worldwide shipping went nuts. And there was also, the events in Ukraine even caused a difference on it, because things like, you don't really think about it, but the boxes, they would be packed in foam. And this is one of the things that was done on the Kickstarter, because we learned with the stretch goals being done based on the money, because we hit them all so early, there was then a pressure for more stretch goals as it went further beyond that. And rightly or wrongly, this then causes a caving to that pressure of like, okay, we'll put a foam insert to keep the paints really nice. Okay, brilliant. Kickstarter ends, Ukraine gets invaded. Ukraine is the place where this stuff is sourced from. So, you can't get it. So you've got to find somewhere else. And so begins a long process of sourcing this material to be manufactured and making sure it's up to scratch and then get cut correctly and stuff. And this stuff all takes time. Same thing with suddenly realizing, so we can't have the stuff bottled there. It's got to be bottled here, which means you're now going to buy bottling machines, which have to fit the bottles that we've got, everything just snowballs. This is what caused all these delays, all this just stuff suddenly happening. But that stuff is all there now, which means that everything this time is going to go much smoother. But on top of all these problems happening with the first one was the complexities of the custom backs. So, for example, you could back the full set and then swap out all your primary colours for a whole host of silvers, which means that the packer then has a unique set that they have to check to make sure it's packed correctly, right? And it's all done by hand. And if you imagine that there were thousands of people who backed it, and there were a lot of them who had these custom orders, which just puts an extraordinary amount of time and checking and double checking before things can go out the door. So this was simplified so that this time it basically can be done faster and done easier. So that's why. So it not ideal, because like you say, it would be great to have the, just back for the glazers, just back for the new metallics and all this, and that would have been cool. But all of that would have added extra time onto the overall processing.
And obviously that then delays everybody else being able to get hold of them.
And it also delays once Kickstarter. Obviously, the Kickstarter campaign is complete, and we'll talk about the actual achievement of that in a second. But it then delays because, rightly so, Transatlantis Games and yourself prohibit the sale of it at trade until everyone's got their backing, because it would be unfair if someone who didn't kickstart then was able to go down the shop and buy all of them.
But people sitting there receiving their boxes going, I thought I was special.
I mean, people were like, I was there in a video saying, like, these paints are really good, but you're going to have to trust me and try them, and you'll see what I mean. But I can't really, it's a green paint, it paints green, but it's a really good green paint. It's really hard to, you can't say, it's a brand new colour, which you'll want, because this particular green is a slight touch darker than that other green. That's why you want it. It's like that's not a selling point.
I mean, as much as your word, much weight as your word carries, and that your assertions can only take people's perceptions so far.
Yeah, and that is actually something that I was going to say. I would, after Wave 1, so basically your career, GW, painting videos, DARPA, Wave 1, I think pretty much now your word does carry a lot of weight. So when you now, if you were to release a new product next year that isn't a paint, and you turn around and say this is the best, everyone else will be like, okay, yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, certainly with me, it's like literally whenever I come to paint a new model, I'm like, the first thing I do is like, is there a Duncan video?
Is there a DARPA video? Yeah.
Oh, you. So it is something that Roger and I would take really seriously, because I mean, when I started doing those videos for Games Workshop, it was and always has been about, I want people to enjoy their hobby and be able to paint their miniatures and get the results they want. Right? It's always been about that. It's what I always enjoyed most in retail and things like that. And early days, we were basically left to it, so there was no corporate control, you might say, telling us what things we had to paint, what things we didn't. We were like, well, it's the new range of Death Guard are coming out. What do people want to paint? Well, they want to learn how to paint Plague Marines and Mortarion, right? That's the things. There was no one telling us. That's just what we did. And people responded to that because, I mean, I thought everyone was going to hate me because at the time everyone hated Games Workshop and I was suddenly the only face associated with it. But I think people got that there was that honesty about it, and they followed us and allow us to make a living nowadays because of this. So it's I can't take that trust seriously enough. So anything we do, we put everything we've got into it. We want it to be as best as possible. We want to make it as high quality as possible and as accessible as possible. And yeah, if it turned out the paints were crap, and I'd be like, oh, it's really good, and it turns out and it's rubbish and doesn't do anything I said it was going to do, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. It'd be awful. I wanted people to get get what they want out of it, and yeah. So the fact that I saw people on forums saying they backed it purely because they'd learned to paint because of us, and it's like, man, that's
a lot of weight on your shoulders.
It is, yeah, it is. I can't ever take any of that for granted. It'd be awful. So
yeah, I mean, one thing that I've always thought of you and that, and watching your videos and that, is that you have a level of sincerity that really comes across. It's like you really care about what you're doing, and it really does show. And I think just the community in general was just kind of really appreciated that.
You said about at the time everyone disliked GW. Jeez, have you seen what they've been doing the last 2-3 weeks?
I hear rumblings. I mean,
the only hands. Yeah.
So I don't really know anyone in the TV area anymore.
So they've no, I don't even mean that. They've moved over their warehousing to robotic warehousing, and it is not going well.
No. The robots are not going to rise up anytime soon. The pre-orders that should
have been sent out to customers 2 weeks ago haven't arrived yet.
Because the robots keep breaking.
So I won't delve into it because that's not what we're here for. But since you don't know, my trade rep has informed me, and you obviously have to take what they say with a shovel of salt. But whenever the warehouse system says, yes, these 5 products are in stock, the robot goes and picks them. But when the robot is faced with a shelf where it's no longer in stock, it stops.
Oh.
Like the robot does not flag an alarm, does not carry on to the next product. It stops, and then they have to figure out why it stopped.
They have to walk down the stacks and go, why is number 37 stopped?
Yeah, and you can imagine this happening for thousands of orders. Yeah. So that's apparently the reason behind it. But anyway, there's a lot of bad vibes with GW right now.
Well, they go through peaks and troughs of that. Not always entirely warranted, but at the end of the day.
Wow. Well, that's frustrating. I hope, as frustrated as anyone might be about that, they don't go and just have a go at their local staff member about it.
No.
Working in a game shop is hard work.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So what we will then move on to is you launched the Kickstarter. It was what day was it started again? Was it the 25th of January?
It was I think it was the 24th. It was when we were in Vegas. Tuesday 24th. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So 20 minutes it got backed in, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I imagine you must have been just sitting there looking at your phone going, what? At
the time, Roger and I were just wandering around the Las Vegas Strip. And so, I mean, we just had this So the drive to the airport was a nightmare. The flight was delayed. There were drunk people on the plane who had to get kicked off. So I had to taxi back to the airport and off them both. I think we saw one of them. He looked like he was trying to chat up some lady, and he had loads of beers in his hand and stuff. We had seen him when we got off the plane. Yeah, so I think it was 4 hours delayed, so we didn't arrive till very late. So it was a long day. We didn't get to the hotel. I think it was about midnight when we arrived there. So the next day we were quite jet lagged and just like bemused and seeing all these insane things. The thing I found fascinating is that they don't. You have crossings and stuff, but most of it's an escalator going up a bridge to go over the road because it's like 4 lanes on each side, and like escalators outdoors, right? But anyway, so we were moving around, and we were in the Paris casino at the time, just looking at this mini Eiffel Tower coming through the ceiling and stuff, and there were gift shops and things, and I was like, oh, we could buy a pack of casino cards that have been used. That's pretty cool. And then Roger's like, oh, Bernice has got in touch. The Kickstarter's live. What time is it? We were completely out of it. And so we were watching it, and she was phoning us up, telling us all the details constantly. Like, oh, it's been back. So yeah, we were just wandering around, dazed and everything. And
I saw your Instagram video that you put up.
Yeah,
that was cool.
We got down to the New York hotel, which looks like the New York skyline, and it's actually one building. It's just like it looks like multiple buildings. It's very strange. There's a roller coaster on top of it too. And yeah, we were just looking at that, and then Roger's like, "Do you know what? We should probably say like thanks to everybody. Like it's going really well." And like, yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, head in the game. All right, everything's mad right now, but we're got to be responsible. So we recorded this message, and so I've got the sunglasses on because it was really bright, and I had enormous bags of So yeah, it was incredible, and it was really cool because whilst it was running, Transatlantis were there at the show, and they had a booth and everything, letting people try the paints out. They were giving away samples and things, and it was really cool because people were able to ask questions about it, and we were there to answer and talk about it and show it and stuff. So that was really cool. It was we didn't expect it to do as well as it did again. I mean, the first one like blew our minds with how rapid it went. This one we knew wouldn't get as many people back in it because of the more limited nature of what you could go for. But still, it massively exceeded our expectations. Yeah, it's quite incredible. Yeah. Especially, I was like honoured with the delays of the first one, that people are still willing to go, yeah, it is going to arrive, it is worth it, it is appearing in shops now, I'm still going to put money down for it. So, yeah, so they're going to arrive faster this time because all the machines to do everything are there. So there's just a lot of them to make, that's all.
Yeah. It's I'm really excited about receiving them, I am. The colours are exactly what I need that are missing from the current range. Actually, one use of that foam padding that I'm going to be doing is I still keep it in the box, and then I actually open the lid and put it underneath it, and then put a little weight behind it so that it actually is a display case with the foam. But I'm going to take the foam out and just glue it to a thin bit of MDF, and that's my paint rack for the thing at home.
That's a really good idea. Man, I should do that. That's genius.
Well,
I've got them all in. I've got them in a really useful box. A 4 litre. The one that's like A4 size. And I found that if you, when Wave 2 comes along, if you just do a little cardboard strip, and you can get 9 paints along, and it basically fills it perfectly with the whole 120 range. It also locks in perfect with the card separating each 9. So, I've got them all stored like that at the moment.
Nice. Right, is there a... You don't have to tell us, because I know that I spoke to you at Salute, must have been about 18 months ago now, maybe more.
Yeah, it was November before last.
21?
Yeah.
So you had this idea with Roger that you wanted to go into more online retail. Mm-hmm. Is that still an aim?
We still aim to get a shop on our website, yeah. So not necessarily turning into retailers as such, but we figure people will want to buy the paints from us, so we may as well have the option for it.
Just an avenue to do direct sales, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So there were 2 things that had to be put in place for that. The first is that we had to get proper premises to do it, because essentially we've been working from Roger's house at that point. We built a studio in it. That's now been done. We now have actual premises, an actual office, and an actual proper studio with like a kitchenette and staff toilets and everything. Great. We have a reception. It's really cool. And the next thing then is to get the time to build a web store, because Roger has to do that and add it onto the website. So that requires us freeing up some time, which probably means getting some people to help. So so it'll happen. There's just that is the next thing to get out of the way for that. But we also got some other types of content we want to make for the website too that we think is missing. So there's a few things to do this year, but I think the website's going to be very much evolved this time next year from how it is now.
You just alluded there to different types of content. Do you mean actually different content, or do you mean just different models?
Different content. So still painting content, but because we've got more room now, we can do other sorts of things. So our offering at the moment is very much we'll take a miniature as a case study. Like this week we did Angron, for example. We'll paint the miniature start to finish to show you what to do, just like how we always used to do. So people could follow along and do it. But what we're finding is a lot of people sign up to our site who are absolute brand new beginners who are going to buy us to do so, buy something. And they'll watch one of our videos and we do the usual process and stuff, and they're like, yeah, but what brushes do I need? Like really beginner 101 stuff. So we're like, okay, so we actually need to do that, because it's based it's like a keystone, like a foundation block of what we do, and that's missing. And we've got quite a cool way of doing that. So we're going to be doing that sort of thing as more of like a course kind of thing. It's going to be like a really nice integrated thing, and provide a really good foundation for all the other stuff that we do. But this also means that we can do other sort of larger scale things in similar ways. So any model or any sort of board will be on the table, literally, for that sort of thing. Like imagine if we do a project series of building your perfect gaming board, showing everything, what to do. That sort of thing. So really evolving the offering of the content. And it's really exciting because it's going to be something different, and it's going to have a different style about it, things like that. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's going to be the same honest explanation and tuition about what it is. So it's no like, oh, I just sprinkled a static grass applicator on this and it was like, oh, and it's perfect. It's like, no, this is what you do. Sometimes it might go wrong, but these are the things to watch out for if it does. So trying to be as detailed and informative as we can.
Yeah. So we're doing things like product reviews and that as well, that kind of thing.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. We definitely we keep thinking some entertainment-y sort of stuff would be cool. So we've actually got we've got a thing that we're going to try doing, a thing like that. Not strictly, it'll still be tuition stuff in it because that's what people come to us for. But something a little bit different from what we normally do. And we've gone quite out our way to get the resources available for this. So that's going to be in the next few weeks, which I'm really looking forward to.
I remember one of the Games Workshop videos that was a bit fun. I can't remember whether it was yourself or another member of the team that did it, where there was like how to paint a golden demon level, and they were literally like just jamming paint onto it.
That was
actually super gluing decals onto it, and it's an absolute mess.
That was a YouTube one. Yeah, it's like Golden Demon Judges like conversions. So,
you
convert the legs and he just clips them off and swaps them around. So
they just jammed two blobs of green stuff into the eyes. Yeah.
But I saw in the chat thing mentioned that podcast. Yeah, we have talked about doing a podcast. This is one of those things where being in the studio means that we now have room to actually set up more of a permanent thing for that. So, like a weekly thing where we talk about releases and what we think about things and what we've been doing, that sort of stuff. We thought it might be really fun to have a go at doing something like playing Call of Cthulhu or Dungeons and Dragons and recording that, so you can listen to it whilst you paint. That could be a good laugh. So yeah, lots of potential. Being in this new space really does open things up a lot.
Yeah. But Bertie is
possibility to have special guests on and that. Shame.
So Bertie Best, who's one of our regulars for chatting on stream, has said Toothing Coats the musical. That's entertainment.
I could try and warm up my singing voice.